Hey everyone, we're already on to the next color. Can you believe it? Zenkai 9 reveals are going so fast. Honestly, this is the color that I care the least for in the game in general. Outside of a few control decks and like weird combo-centric decks, this is not it for me. But what I care about is going to be if these decks are competitively viable and if you need to be able to play them or what's going on with them. So we've got a Goku 18. This is the first time I think that we've seen a Android and a Saiyan on the same card, which is a really good set of traits to have. It's not as good as, I guess, like Saiyan Earthling Android, but it's about as good as it can get, especially with the fact that we're getting other red androids in this set with Super 17 later on, and then not to mention the fact that, right, we just got, like, red droids in Fighter's Ambition. Not Fighter's Ambition. Actually, yeah, we did get it in Fighter's Ambition. We got it in Perfect Combination and Crit Blow. Like, there's quite a few red androids at this point now. So, we're going to go ahead and just look at this. Son Goku, when you attack top 5 for a red Saiyan card with energy cost 4 or less, or a red extra. Notably, this means that this is one that doesn't grab your secret rare if you happen to be playing Vegito, which you probably are. So that kind of sucks, but honestly, you can still search for, like, Explosive Dance, which is kind of broken, not to mention the fact that your whole engine seems to be red extra cards, and then most decent red Saiyans are still 4 or less. If your life is at 4 or less and you have 2 or more energy, a Z Unison with specified cost of 1, draw 1 card, switch 1 up, and go down to 6. So this does mean you're a bit weak to Kid Ku at this moment. If you're going second, that really sucks, but honestly, that's kind of just the way things are right now. If you're a Z Unison with a cost of 1, yikes, kind of tough to play into that. And then we have Son Goku and Android 18 Unexpected Tag Team. When a GT Goku is played from your drop, until the end of your opponent's turn, this card gains the following skill. Activate Battle, activate up to 1 Activate Battle skill on a red extra with an energy cost of 1 from your drop by paying its skill cost. Then remove that card from the game. It's a very weird, like, piece to be getting from this, right? So basically, the cost of your red, or the strength of your red extras is going to define how good this deck is. We already have things like Frieza Death Ball, but we do need to see how good the Activate Battle on other red extras that come in this one are. And then Activate Main Battle, draw 1 and discard 1. So you can basically do this on your turn and on your opponent's turn. That's really good for filter, but obviously you're not actively plussing, so that might be a bit of an issue. Onto the Z cards, we've got Piccolo Escape from Hell. This art is sick as hell. 1 cost Z Unison, so this is what we expect to be Awakening with. Activate Main +2, which is good for protection. If your leader's backside is a red card with both GT and Android 18, draw 1, discard 1. It's fine cycle, right? It's a 5k red Unison. It's going to go to 3 markers, so like Yamcha's online immediately. And then obviously they have to put at least 3 pieces of interaction into it to be able to remove it. And then -4, activate main, draw 2, discard 1, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards against -20. That's a pretty decent reward for, like, if your opponent just, like, leaves it alone, right? You get to remove something, you go +1, and then you probably keep this guy around, because if it goes up to 5, and then you go -4, you still get to keep the Z Unison around. And then we have the 1-1 Sibling Confrontation. We have a new Z Extra. We haven't had a Z Extra in, like, several sets. Most of the time, it's just been, like, I guess we had Gotenks last set. So if we don't count Gotenks, I feel like we haven't really had any in a while. So permanent if your red card, if your leader is this guy, and your red GT, Goku with an energy cost of 4 or less would leave the battle area. You can discard 1 card from your hand instead if you do remove this card from the game. So this is a 1 energy protection spell. Honestly, that's pretty good, just to be able to protect your 4-cost Gokus. There are plenty of good 4-cost GT Gokus, and this set certainly we're getting a couple more. So just something to think about in terms of, like, if you set this up, it turns on Explosive Dance, and then, you know, after you Explosive Dance, you can protect Goku by getting rid of this card. At least once. So probably don't do this against green, because they'll have other ways to remove your guy. But, you know, if you're playing against, like, blue or something, and they were only going to be able to remove 1 card that turn, good way to deal with that. Activate Battle if your leader is this guy, this card, and you discard 1 from your hand, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, it gets -5. Honestly, that's a really great Activate Battle. It allows you to discard your extra cards and Unisons, if you're playing any, to just turn anything into a 5k combo, as long as it's into, like, a battle card without barrier. Which honestly is a lot of the field, so while it isn't always going to come up, you're probably going to do this basically every turn. Just something to think about in terms of, like, cycling your hand and getting through. So really, we just got to know how good these extra cards are to know if the archetype is any good. I put Goku's here, but honestly, this is actually the SRs. This would be the boss monsters. So this Goku on the left here, this card seems super fierce. As a 4-drop 30k, I think this is like the one of the highest things we've ever seen. We have that like 3-drop Majin Buu that's 35, but it comes in rest mode. But this card is still so statted well. Like, this is unbelievable. As a 4 cost, obviously that means it's really vulnerable to a lot more removal, but it does mean that you get to protect it once with your field card. So, deflect triple strike 30k, limit 1 for 2 red if your leader is red and and your opponent has 3 or more. Okay. When this card is discarded by one of your skills or your opponent's skills, you get to play it from your drop and it gains barrier. And then the real key here is going to be this other auto that says when you or your opponent activate a skill on an extra with an energy cost of 1 from its owner's hand or drop, you choose up to 2 of your opponent's cards, battle or unison, and give them -15 for the turn. That basically means that if they go E-Dance, you go, alright, zap 2 things. It means during your turn, right, if you do any activate battles, like if you do like a Freeze's Death Ball or something, you can go +15 to my leader, -25 somewhere, and then -15 somewhere else. That's so huge. And notice that this isn't once per turn, so you can just keep doing it. If you like go Explosive Dance into like Uneasing or King Vegeta's Imposing Presence, that's just more minus power. Very strong card, very impressed with this super rare. I just hope that it can keep up with the rest of the deck, because at present, it is the only thing that's really keeping the deck even remotely okay. And then we got Android 18, Deadly Combat Settled. This card's a little more generic. Activate main, dual attack 20k, pretty solid. So activate main, limit 1 for a red if your leader's red and you have 3 or more energy, so that does allow you to do it going first. Play this card from your hand, then place up to 3 red extras from your drop under this card. So obviously this card's going to get better late game because it's up to, so just the more activations of this other activate main you get is a big deal. Activate main, you place 1 card from under this card into its owner's drop area. You're going to choose one of you or your opponent's battle cards. It gets +5 for the turn, and then if that card has 30,000 or more, you place it in the drop. So you can basically choose herself, for sure, right? Because she'll go to 25 dual attack. Then you can choose one of your other, like, 20Ks, bump it up, or you can use it to remove your opponent's cards if they're already at 25,000 or higher. So honestly, it's like, you could bump this to be a 25 dual attack, remove 2 things. That's really good, right? Like, especially against green, where red typically is going to have issue removing, like, their 8-drops that have 35 power, just because -15 twice doesn't even get you there. Just something to think about. This card removes a whole lot of stuff. The name is really great. This slots into lots of different red decks, and especially I think this card is going to really give a big buff to the red Android 17 and 18 deck, because you can just play this, swing twice, and then trigger the 17s from underneath your Z extra. Ugh, broken. Card is super strong. I think this will probably be a decent staple, so make sure that you pick up a couple. The Goku is good, but he's honestly only super good in this deck because you are constantly drawing and discarding. If you're playing against red, or green, you could like side into it as a different type of Dabura, because it gets around, you know, Koizukai and stuff, but I don't know if that's really worth it here. And then we have the actual Gokus of the set. Basically, they are all going to have the same effect, that when they're discarded by your leader skill, limit 1, you can pay a red to draw 1 and play them from your drop area. That's literally the first auto on all 4 of these cards. And then, so we'll just take a peek at how they're doing. So the first one here is Deflect Double Strike. I mean, that's basically the stats of like the yellow Helku. When it's played, choose one of your opponent's battle cards. It gets -10,000 power for the turn. Honestly, that's not as good as it should be, right? If you're trying to compare this to that yellow Helku card, that card KO something, this is just -10. So not something great. It's a 3 cost. It has Deflect, obviously, which is great, but as a 3 cost, it's super vulnerable to lots of removal. Like, green can just use their Z extra to kill it, and as the Double Striker, this was kind of supposed to be like the main mid-game pressure, and that's really troublesome. Then we have Son Goku Deadly Combat with a Machine Mutant. Barrier, so no Deflect on this one, but as a 20k, it's safe from all the red stuff. It's the other colors you have to worry about. Limit 1 for a red, you get the activation play. And then when this card's played, top 5 of your deck for a red extra, and place it in your owner's drop. So you don't even get to like draw a card here, which is kind of whack again. It's a 20k, so it's a lot safer. And interestingly, I think this is an evolved target for lots of the old red Gokus. I don't know necessarily if that's good, but being a barrier card could be relevant for him in that sense. But honestly, you're just like cycling out extras into your drop area, and I mean, obviously if the extras are broken, that's fine, but we're gonna see that they're just okay later on. Beginning of a fierce battle is when you attack, combo with the mono red card with combo power 5k and skills negated. Sure, builds a Z energy, 20k attack. It's worse than these other two, but it's not bad. And then beginning of deadly combat is activate battle, choose up to one of your cards, and it gets plus 5,000 for the battle. I think this card's a little better because it's a dual attack. You can basically make it a 15k, so it still is lethal on your opponent, and then you can like buff your leader on your opponent's turn. That's not incredible, but I don't know. All these cards seem super mid to me. And then we have the cantrip, top 5 for a red Saiyan, or 3 or less, or a mono red extra, which, you know, that's honestly pretty good. If you wanted to, you could search for like bursting rage with this. You shouldn't, but you could. You can just immediately grab, you know, explosive dances like we've talked about. It's a decent searcher. It's a 1-cost Trunks GT, which can be relevant in case you wanted to play something like Chain Attack Trunks over this, but probably not going to. And then if your leader is a red Son Goku GT, when this card in your hand is discarded by one of your skills, you look at the top 5 and then get rid of an extra card into your drop area from there. So again, just getting rid of more of these next cards, which are right here. The Double Strike Explosion, Exploding Energy, and Polar Strike 10 times Kamehameha. Honestly, I think the art on all of these is pretty good, right? The Double Strike Explosion is a little plain, but the beautiful red and white on the polar 10 times, and then the gorgeous blue background and the art itself of Exploding Energy looks great. So let's just take a look at all these, see which ones you're going to play and at what quantities, but I wouldn't be super hopeful. So activate battle if your leader is this card, draw 2 and discard 2 from your hand, colon, so that's the cost of the card. So you won't actually do that if you are activating it via your leader skill. Choose up to one of your red Son Goku GT cards, and it gets plus 15 for the battle. Great. Additionally, if you have a red Android 18 card with 20,000 power or more in play, the chosen card gets plus 10 for the battle. So you basically go like, this is a plus 25k. That's pretty good for effectively free. I mean, obviously it's not free because you have to go through like the hoops of getting it, but as a 25k buff to one of your cards, right? If that like 3-drop gets through and it's a big double strike, or the triple striker gets through, well, guess what? That's 55 triple strike or 45 double strike, both of which are really big numbers. Now, again, they're on a 4 and 3 cost, so battle tricks will interrupt them very easily. Exploding Energy. Activate battle for limit 1. Choose one of your red Son Goku GT cards, and you may give it minus 15 for the battle. If you do, draw 1 card, then choose all of your opponent's battle cards. They get minus 10 for the turn. Obviously, if your opponent has an established board already, this is really great that it can like slow down your opponent. Think about this like a better version of like the Frieza paralysis technique negate. You're just giving minus 10 to the board. You get to draw a card, which is like a good way to plus. But obviously, you have to give one of your red Goku cards minus 15, so either you do it on your leader when you're about to take damage anyway, or you do it to one of your battle cards that's already in rest mode and like you're not playing against red or something. So this is good just because it's the only one that actively pluses, but we do need to make sure that you're getting as much as possible going here because you're already not drawing on your backside. And then we got Polar 10 times Kamehameha. Activate battle, limit 1. Switch your red leader with both Son Goku GT and Android 18 to active mode. Then choose up to one of your cards and it gets plus 5,000 for the turn. Choose up to one of your red Goku GT cards and it gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. You can basically do this to give your 30k with barrier because you played it on your opponent's turn. Blocker barrier, which makes it really effective. And then obviously you can go ahead and switch your leader to active mode if you're playing this offensively for an additional attack, which is pretty good into things like explosive dance and any other floodgate that gets around your leader like Nimbus or something. Just a good way to keep applying pressure, but again, this doesn't actively plus you, and instead of drawing a card, it's like fine that you can give plus 5 for the turn, but is that so good, right? Like you can make your leader a 20k, but there's a lot of ways for red to already do that. So just kind of the way it is. Honestly, that's it. This archetype seems very middling. I'm not super impressed, and I do want to like see where it goes from here, but with that said, I hope you guys are looking forward to the red deck. There's not a ton of old support that I think is going to go with it, just because the red Goku GT cards are like from set 3 and 4. There's things like Chain Attack. You could play Pint-Sized Goku as a top 7 for a GT Goku. But realistically, I think this is going to be a pretty heavy engine deck. And then, supplemented with some of those red generic cards that we already know. So with that, I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you next time.